Alrighty, well, let's talk about loops today. Hey, I'm Melissa with The Simple Life Wife, and I make videos lately on brain retraining stuff. If you're interested in that, you are welcome to subscribe and join the talks. So, I wanted to talk about loops today because that's such a big part of brain retraining and understanding how your brain gets going in loops. And it's like set loops. And unless you aggressively change those loops in the pathways in your brain, like these are literal neurological pathways, if you never do anything, like make efforts to change them, you will keep doing the same loops. It's habits. It's like, I understand it because like playing guitar, you have to think about it at first. You have to think about what your fingers are doing. But once you learn to play guitar, you do not think about it anymore. It's just you play. I have no idea how it works. It's amazing. It's the way God created our brains. My fingers will do the things they need to do. And I can play, I can sing, I can do this with this hand and do this and not think about this hand. It just does its thing because I have built that into my brain. So anyway, that helps me think about once you get something, a loop in your brain, it could be good or bad. Obviously, this could be a good loop. This is me playing guitar right here. It's a good loop. It's a good thing I got going because then I can play guitar. But a lot of us are stuck in bad loops. Actually, I would say everyone has bad loops. It's just part of being human. And what I wanted today was to go through and identify some of those bad loops that you need to get out of. And a lot of people do not realize that these are things that they're doing or that they even need to get out of. They just think it's normal human life and they don't, sometimes it's sinful, sometimes it's just, I don't know how to categorize it in that way. Sometimes something happened to you and you have wrong thinking and you don't realize that your body has created this wrong thinking. Like I've heard of a rape case and then she started self-sabotaging later in life because she had this loop going of I'm worthless and all this. Anyway, so you create these loops, sometimes totally unwillingly, sometimes just because you are being sinful. But regardless, it's good to be aware of what some of the loops are. And so I've been wanting to do this video for a while, even for my own sake, to remember some of the loops to watch out for. And when you find out what your in the program I did, they called them old wired loops. And so you need to get out of the old wired loops and into the new. So you're always, what's the word? Unwiring and rewiring, like stopping the negative talk in your brain and literally talk and going positive. Like that is brain retraining work right there. That's what you're doing. And so even all the visualizations that I put on YouTube, that is rewiring your brain towards positive. That's all that is literally creating new neural pathways that can be seen. They are creating new pathways so that your brain goes away from the loop, the old wired loop, and it goes to the new positive pathway, which actually tells your body you're happy, healthy, and it starts being healthy and happy. And it's just crazy, but it is scientifically proven that your body will come into line health-wise, like your literal flesh will start being more healthy when you are thinking correctly. Pretty amazing. All right, so I wanted to go through some of the loops. I hope this is okay with the program that I did, that I'm kind of using their list of loops to talk about. I guess I'll find out if it's not, but I do find it helpful just to know what things to look out for, what you should be fighting in a sense. I'm not sure fighting is the right word, but you should definitely, in my mind, be getting away from them for sure. So there are a lot. If you stay with me for the whole list, I'll be impressed. But maybe your loop that you need to be aware of is at the end. So I suggest sticking around and just hanging out. Knit a shirt or something while you're listening. All right, here's the list, and I'm not going to go into I'm not going to go into great detail for all of these. I'm just going to list out some of them, and just so you can be aware, like, oh, am I doing this? Even in the program, I think they have us check every couple minutes or a couple hours. I can't remember what it is. At the beginning, you just check into your thoughts. What am I thinking about? What am I doing? And it's pretty embarrassing if you're honest with yourself. I would say any human that goes through this program is going to find stuff out about, because your thoughts are on autopilot. And I also wanted to mention there's so much in the Bible about renewing your mind, and the heart set on the flesh is death. And there is so much. Once I started the brain retraining program, I mean, I see it everywhere in the Bible. So this is very God glorifying to get away from these negative thoughts and go towards positive, godly thoughts. It's only going to do you good. I don't care who you are. And I think you'll start to see a trend with these things, these loops that I'm listing out. A lot of them are fear-driven and stress-driven. Like at the root of it, it's usually fear-based and not trusting God. A lot of them. So here we go. Rumination. It's like you're thinking over and over and over something that happened. Some people do this as soon as they leave a social party. It's like rumination. Did I say the right things? Body scanning. Are you constantly checking over your body if you're healthy? Or you know what body scanning is, I think, if you start to think about it. I definitely had a lot of these issues. Overanalyzing your health. Searching the environment for triggers of your symptoms and causes. Predicting symptoms in the future. Like, because of this, I'm probably going to have this. Like, isn't it amazing? Like, how many of us even saw this as a problem? It is a problem. It's negative, and it's anyway, I got to stop preaching and just read the list. Searching for the why behind your symptoms. That's been a huge thing, is to stop researching health issues. I couldn't believe like how much discipline that took to stop researching my health issues. Saying your symptoms are because of something. You're making associations between your symptoms and something else. Monitoring how you feel with certain things, or monitoring how you feel certain times of day. So it kind of goes with body scanning. You're just constantly monitoring how you're feeling. You're totally based on the flesh. Like, we should be living in the spirit, and our flesh comes in tow with that. But so many of us are completely living in the flesh. Like, how's my body feeling? Okay, that's how my day is going to go. Creating negative associations with things in the environment. Avoidance behaviors. I mean, some of these are huge. Are you avoiding foods, smells, chemicals, environments, people, social settings? I mean, it's huge. Avoidance behaviors. That's a negative loop. You got to get out of it. It's not your personality. It's not who you are. His image is not that. Obsessively trying to control symptoms. Tracking your progress based on your symptoms. Trying to get out of your symptoms. It's like, what? What am I supposed to do if I'm not supposed to try to get out? Like, there's a whole lot of trust that we need to loop in instead of striving. Setting your own expectations for healing. You have to learn to surrender to God. Getting angry or feeling panicked when symptoms worsen. Feeling like you need to constantly explain your symptoms to others. Why do we try to justify ourselves? I don't know. Identifying with your symptoms or diagnoses. Like I said, as if it's your personality or something. Or you have nothing else to say about yourself but your issues. Making your health an idol. Living based off how you feel. Isn't that incredible? I've thought about that a lot. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. You say that even if you feel terrible when you wake up, because you're not basing your day and how much you're going to rejoice and be glad in it off of your flesh and how you feel. You base it off the Spirit and what God says is true. Thinking you are the worst case scenario, and we all, I think anyone that's gone through this program has had that thought, like, oh, but my case, it's not going to work for my case. Comparing, being the expert of your symptoms. God didn't ask us to be God. Okay, I'm saying some of this stuff. Some of this is the program's language and some of it's mine. Complaining. I mean, what a huge loop. What a huge loop. Complaining. You could work on that your whole life. Entertaining overwhelm. I couldn't believe how big of a loop this was in my life. I used to say that all the time. I'm just overwhelmed. I'm so overwhelmed. And it was always in regard to my kids. And until I read this, I'm like, oh, it's kind of embarrassing. I thought that was okay to feel and say, but overwhelmed is a feeling that you're giving into. You do not have to feel overwhelmed. Entertaining hopelessness, doubt, indecision. That is so big for some people. Focusing on areas that you have not made progress in. Can't you just hear yourself saying some of these things? Oh, I'm just an indecisive person or whatever. You know, that is not how God made you. He made you in his image, and he's not indecisive. Planning your day based off how you feel. Being impatient or rushing. Living in the past. Man, that's so big. Satan uses some of these things in our lives, and we just don't even realize it's a stronghold in our lives. Looping about trauma means you keep going back to it, to that trauma you faced. Blame, lack of self-care, lack of fun. Did you know that was an issue? If you're not having fun. Social isolation. Oh, I'm just an introvert. I've pulled that card a lot. Rehearsing a conversation in your mind. Replaying a conversation in your mind. So one is rehearsing, like before it happens. Another one is after it happens. It's like you can't settle and trust God with these things. You have to, it's almost perfectionism. Procrastination. Inability to prioritize or organize your thoughts. Taking things personally. Always thinking something is wrong with you. Man, it is so easy to go down that negative thought track. Exaggerating your current situation. Focusing on too many things at once. Apparently our brains weren't meant to multitask. Did you know that? Let's focus on one thing at a time. Slow down. Wishing things would be different. People pleasing. I never thought of myself as a people pleaser until I started thinking about some of like my issues and why do I have issues in social situations. It's because I'm trying to people please. I'm not following like God's plan in the conversation or what I should be doing. Maybe I can go sit down and not have a conversation. I just want to people please. And how do I look and all this stuff? Even in church lately, after church, my husband likes to talk a long time after church. I mean, like an hour. And it was an issue for me because I just felt socially drained and we would anyway, I learned it's okay if I need to go sit in the van after a while. I mean, I've talked some and then I've had enough. I don't need to people please. I can do what I need to do, and that's okay. Gossip or slandering. I think we've all known people that have that loop if we're not that person. It's a loop. You can break it. That's not who you are. Controlling others, telling them what to do, or trying to change them. I mean, there are a lot of wives that fall under this. It's so easy to fall into sin and looping and all that. Assuming what others are thinking or how they are behaving. Self-centeredness. Accusing others. Unforgiveness. We just had a sermon yesterday about forgiveness, and that was really good. Like, God has forgiven us a huge debt, and other people's debts are like this big towards us, and we won't forgive them. Like, it's just ridiculous when you think about it. It's not that, yeah, I just love the way he said it. It's not like it wasn't costly to you to forgive this person of this amount, but it was very costly to God too. So just remember, it was a huge amount that God forgave you. So you have to forgive. Okay, moving on. Jealousy or envy. Living in guilt of the past or that you can't do something. The poor me attitude. Oh man, that hits home. Asking for reassurance. Making excuses. Focusing on the things you can't do. Putting the pressure on yourself to heal. It's not in your hands. It's in God's hands. Lack of confidence, negative self-talk, or low self-esteem. Did you know that was kind of something that God does not like? Lack of confidence. Judging others. Perfectionism. Oh, I'm just a perfectionist. No, you're not. That's not how God made you. Analytical mind. You're overanalyzing. That's not a good thing. An analytical mind, it means you're overanalyzing. You're getting too detailed. You need to know the details of everything. It's a control issue. Addictive behaviors. Obsessive behaviors. Being argumentative, always being right, and voicing your opinion. Setting too high of expectations or expecting perfection. Dreading something in the future or wanting it over with. Needing to stick to strict routines. And when you are in a health issue that requires limbic system work, I think you probably know this one. You have your routines and it makes you feel safe. That is totally me. You have to trust. You have to break out of that. And the last one is resentment. Okay, so I think this video has been long enough, but I did want to put that list out there because personally it's good to rethink it again, and I'll just go watch this video when I need to remember the different loops to watch out for. But I wanted to also help you all out, and it is just good for someone to point out sometimes the things that, I mean, you're struggling, but you can't pinpoint why you're struggling. And so it's really helpful for someone that's been there, like this group that I used, Limbic System Rewire. They put together this list, and it's really helpful just to make you aware. Awareness is the first step. And if you want to learn more about how to retrain your brain and more of the details of that, I have a video that I will link below that I made. All right, God bless you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.